So we live in a world where majority of people end up working for their entire adult lives. On average, people get their first jobs around 16, 17 years old, and they continue working all the way up until they're 65, the age of retirement. They are working towards a better life and hopefully being able to retire comfortably when the time comes. For lots of people, this strategy has worked, and they're totally okay living their life in that kind of scenario. However, there is a whole different community who don't like the idea of spending their whole life working or working towards something they don't love. And they've come up with a plan in order for them to be able to retire early. This community or movement is actually called FIRE, and it has nothing to do with the traditional FIRE that you and I both think of. It's actually an acronym for Financial Independence Retire Early. So let's break down how they're able to retire early, how you can do the same thing if you really want to, and at the end I'm going to share my final thoughts on what I think of this whole idea. So be sure to stay to the end of the video so you don't miss anything. What's going on, you guys? If you're new to the channel, my name is Brad, and let's talk about FIRE. So this whole FIRE community or movement is basically surrounding this one central idea, which is maximizing your savings. And they're doing this by 1, increasing their income, and 2, decreasing their expenses. With this aggressive saving approach combined with investing in index funds, blue chip stocks with very low volatility, on average, you should be able to return on your investments around 8 to 9% annually, and over time you will start to see the effects of compound interest. Okay, so all of those things, frugal living, extreme saving, and consistent investing are gonna have to continue until half of your annual return from your investments can pay for your living expenses. And that's basically what the 4% rule is. To put it simply, this 4% rule basically means you'll be able to withdraw 4% of your investment every year until the end of time without running out of money. So basically this means you've won the game of life, you can do whatever you want, so congratulations. I know, that sounds awesome, amazing, maybe even a little bit inspiring. And I know what you must be thinking.
Brad, how much money do I need to have invested to be able to take advantage of this 4% rule?
And the answer to that is going to be different from person to person. But on average, it's generally 25 times the amount that your yearly living expenses will be. But to make this a little bit less confusing, let's put it into some different scenarios just to put it into perspective. For example, Arnold here is a simple man. He can live a happy and fulfilling life on a modest $15,000 per year, which is amazing. Since that $15,000 is only 4% of his yearly return, which is half of $30,000 or 8%, in order to find out how much he would need to have invested to get those returns, would be as simple as multiplying $15,000 by 25, which would be $375,000 invested. Now let's do another example. Example number 2. Here we have Jennifer. She doesn't need all the luxuries in life and is happy to live on an average annual return of $50,000 per year, which is around the average income in North America. As per the example before, we would need to multiply 50,000 by 25, and we get $1,250,000 invested. And the last example, number 3. Chris here lives in life in the fast lane. He wants to live a luxurious life in retirement. He wants to live off $120,000 per year, so around $10,000 per month. And for Chris to achieve this, all we need to do is multiply 120,000 by 25, and he would need a whopping $3 million invested. Now, as you can see, all these different examples have a significantly different amount of money invested to allow the lifestyle each one would like to achieve, which is why FIRE is divided up into different categories. Arnold is a good example of lean fire, just wanting the basics, whereas Jennifer would be categorized as the regular fire, just wanting to live a comfortable life but nothing too luxurious. And Chris, wanting more luxurious life in retirement, would be in the category of fatfire. Each category has its own advantages and disadvantages, so it's going to be up to us to decide what is going to be best for us to aim for. Now, with all that in mind, I know what you must be thinking.
Brad, there's no way I can save up $1 million. This whole thing is rigged. This is a scam. Dislike, unsubscribe, I'm out of here.
Before you run away, I just want to say that these numbers, yes, they are intimidating. However, just remember that this isn't something that's going to happen overnight, and it's something that will take time. As for how much time, that's really going to depend. It's going to depend on how much you're maximizing your savings, increasing your income, or decreasing your expenses. It's also going to depend on how much you've been able to take advantage of this compound interest throughout your investments. Now, I've got this online calculator that I want to dive into just to kind of show you an example of how long it could take just on an average salary. Okay, so this is the calculator that I've been using, and when you first go to it, it actually has a whole bunch of stuff already programmed in, but it covers things like your age, how much investments you already have before starting, what your portfolio looks like, your percentage of stocks, bonds, or cash, how much money you make per year, minus your tax, and how much you spend per year. And then it's going to make the difference as your savings over here. Then any extra income, side hustle, or whatever that you can put in here. Start age is the age that you want to start it at. So let's say you want to be 20, end at 30, something like that. We've also got your growth here for your wage. If you think you're going to increase your income over the course of, let's say, 10 years, what percent on average will it go up? You can add that here. Then you're going to have what you want to have in your retirement. So if you want to retire on $40,000 per year at the 4% rule, which you can change here if you'd like. And then your average tax rate, how much you'll be paying for tax in retirement, how much your target will be calculated over here. Your projected method, fixed method, which is pretty much what we're all going to use. Then our returns on our investments is going to be here. And then the graph breaks it down into the green will be our compound interest, our returns on the money we've invested, and then the blue line will be the saved amount that we've put in. And then it'll show the target that we need to reach and how long it will take us. Okay, so I'm just going to plug in some numbers here and we will see what it takes to retire by the age of 30 on an average income. All right, so I put in a few numbers here just to see what it would take if you started at the age of 20 and you wanted to retire by the age of 30 years old. All right, so let's say you make the average income of $60,000 and you are able to cut your spending down to $15,000 per year, which means you're saving around $45,000 or 75% of your income. And we're gonna put that at a 2% growth just to keep up with inflation. Okay, and then we're gonna have, I've changed the portfolio to 95% stocks, 5% cash, and your retirement amount would be $30,000 per year spending, and that will be at the 4% rule. That would mean you need to get around $800,000 saved up. Okay, and then our stocks, we have a 8% just to be a little bit conservative, and yeah, it would take you 10.2 years, given that scenario, to retire with $30,000 at the 4% rule. All right, so it's definitely possible, but $15,000 to live off of is going to be difficult to maintain over the course of 10 years. So you might want to think of increasing your income or getting a side hustle. If we just add a side hustle, let's say you can make an extra $10,000 per year, which is less than $1,000 a month. We'll see what that changes. You see, you can shave almost a year off of your time. All right, so that's just one example of how you can retire by the age of 30, starting at 20. Now, this calculator is one of many great ones that I've found online. However, I'm gonna link to this one that I've used just in the description area below, so you can find it easy yourself. And I highly recommend you go check it out, play around with some numbers, and find something that is gonna be achievable for you and your situation. As for my thoughts on this whole FIRE movement, I think it's a great way for the average people to take control of their financial situation and eventually lead up to financial independence. The whole structure and plan lays out a solid foundation of great techniques and strategies that will allow anyone to be able to live the life that they want and on their own terms. However, there are some people in the FIRE community that follow these guidelines may be a little bit too strict, and they sacrifice their quality of life just to retire a little bit sooner. Whereas other people, they kind of follow the guidelines a little bit more loosely and don't make it much more of a priority. So getting to their retirement early is going to take a little bit longer. So whatever the approach you want to take, if you want to get there as soon as possible or take the more of a slow and steady approach, there's many different options and strategies that you'll be able to implement into what you would like to achieve over time. This whole FIRE movement and community is growing every single day because more and more people are slowly discovering through videos like this that it is possible for the average person to take control of their financial situation. Anyone can do it, but if you need some extra motivation, I highly recommend you go check out the Reddit forums, because a lot of people on there sharing their experiences and motivating others to keep at it. It's really a great community, and I'll leave a link down to it in the description below. Hopefully this video has shed some light and explained a little bit about what the FIRE community is and what it's all about. Let me know in the comment section down below if this is something you're going to consider, or maybe you're already doing it, and what you're doing to achieve your financial independence. If you think this video is worth other people seeing and you want more people to take control of their financial future, just hit that thumbs up button down below and it will push out this video to a whole new audience that might not have seen it otherwise. Also consider subscribing down below if you haven't already. As for that, that's all for the video, and I'll see you in the next one.